come and see something unique, something special, something that you'll never experience anywhere else, really, where you can get to the nitty-gritty of seeing the steelworks from a vehicle that's safe to ride on, behind a heritage item, supporting the country and the industry.
You're listening to Come Here, the podcast for and about heritage attractions, where you can discover somewhere worth visiting. I'm your host, Dr. Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist with a background in archaeology, specialising in voiceover for the heritage sector. Each week, I chat to someone from a different museum, historic site, gallery or cultural space about why you should visit, and exactly what you can expect when you get there. Andrew Plumtree is a volunteer with the Appleby Frodingham Railway at Scunthorpe, which very unusually operates on the track of an industrial site. Not only can visitors ride on historic trains, they can also take in the sights and sounds of a working steelworks. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast today, Andrew.
Hello there, and I'm very glad to join you here today.
Now, your historic site is something quite unusual, really. Tell us where you are.
So we're on the steelworks at Scunthorpe, now British Steel. It's been around since 1859 and still going strong and continuing to go strong into the future, hopefully.
Yeah. Has there always been a railway on the site?
There's always been a railway on the site, initially moving goods and still moving goods to this day, and then we started up doing the rail tours in 1990.
Yeah, how did that come about? Because it's really unusual to have a historic railway in a working industrial site.
So as I said, began in 1859 for the works, and then they began creating steel in 1890. And then in 1990, we had 100 years of steel making at Scunthorpe.
Yeah.
So the initial plan for the works was to run a few guided tours for families and locals to the site to see just what goes on behind the scenes from what they see from the main road. After a couple of years, the people that were running the tours, who were employees, wanted to continue to do so, and they set up what was the Appleby Frodingham Railway Preservation Society under the Sports and Social Club at the time. And then around 5 years ago, we've now become our own standalone charity under the name of Appleby Frodingham Railway-Scunthorpe.
Is it unique that people can go and visit a steelworks on a preserved railway?
So, as far as we can tell, we're a unique site in Europe. Whether the rest of the world as such has anything like this, we're not quite sure, but within Europe at least, we're unique that we're running on an operational railway at the steelworks with preserved heritage locomotives to show people just what's going on.
Yeah. So where have your locomotives come from?
So our locomotives are from a few different areas. The first locomotives we borrowed from other societies, and the coaching stock we borrowed. And then in 1990, we acquired 2 coaches from British Rail, and the locomotive was purchased from a steelworks in Poland to operate the rail tours. Over the years, we've had locomotives donated by the steelworks to us, which one of these is locomotive number 1, one of the Januses, which operated on the site from the 1950s, and even today still goes and helps out if required by the staff. But we also have other locomotives from the National Coal Board that are based with us on site, and other areas from around the country, all which at current have been industrial-based locomotives and still working now on an industrial site.
Yeah. So tell me about a tour then. What can people see when they come on your railway?
So we start off from our platform that's at the front of the site, which as such you don't see a huge amount. The main thing you see really is the slag ladle, which is our gate guardian. From there we curve into the site and you begin to get the full outlay, seeing the full-size buildings as we're going through. So we swing round, we've got a couple of rolling mills on the site at the beginning and our main workshops, and then we go further and further in, seeing the blast furnaces, the boss plant, the remains of what is left of the coke ovens, and the ore preparation plant. So it's seeing this huge and immense industrial site up close compared to what you can see from the main roadside.
Yeah. How big is the site? What area does it cover?
So the site itself covers 2,000 acres.
Wow.
with 120 miles of rail track. That's not a continuous line, it's several sidings as well,
Yeah.
but around a continuous line of 20 miles at least in a straight line. And then there's 50 miles of road covering the site. So it's a huge undertaking area which they operate and produce steel at, where we get the benefit to show people around.
Yeah. So how much of the site are you actually able to access?
So we can pretty much go all over the site within reason. So there's safety areas where
Yeah.
underneath the blast furnaces are unsafe for us to go to, and other areas of the site which are unsafe, but the majority we can get round and show people different areas. The majority of it's external to buildings, but occasionally there's a couple of buildings we're able to peek into and show people what's
Yeah.
going on inside as well.
Yeah. And are the tours different every time? I imagine there might be different areas of the site you can go to sometimes and not other times.
Exactly. So unlike another other railways where there's a set route and they're following a signal unit, we're working with radios, speaking to the control system on site of where we can get to, and sometimes areas are unavailable, so we have to go somewhere else, and we may never make it to an area where we've made on the previous tour. So every time it can be different as we're going round.
Yeah. So the people that are running the railway, are there people that have got links to the steelworks, or is it people that have never had anything to do with the steelworks?
So today, with myself, who I work on the steelworks, I'm the last current employee who's also a volunteer.
Mm.
But the rest of the volunteers are either ex-staff, but then there are many from all other walks of life, whether it be joiners who have their own joinery businesses. We have people from Siemens, retired rail mainline staff.
Mm.
So all kinds of walks of life can come and join us and be a volunteer to help us out running these tours.
Yeah. And so what kind of jobs do you get to do as a volunteer?
We do everything from repairing locomotives, coaches, wagons, rebuilding, repurposing, and then down to driving the locomotives, commentary on the tours, helping with our refreshments coats and shop when the tours are on. So there's literally all kinds of jobs which can be done by any volunteer that wants to come along, who shows the skill and ability to do so. And there's always something that someone can come along and do.
Yeah. Now I know as well as the coaches that you spoke about, you have brake van tours as well, don't you?
Yes, so they're our mainstay of the seasons, really, whenever we run tours. So the brake vans, for those that don't know them, they're the wagons that used to run at the back of the freight trains. They've got a open veranda on each end with a boxed area in the middle with seating inside. And this means that when you're going round, you're on the veranda, you're experiencing the sights, the smells, the sounds of the site without being interference of a piece of glass in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that tour. It's really something different. So tell me about the accessibility of the site and who it's suitable for. Is it suitable for children to come to?
So we do have an age limit for things like the brake van tours and a height limit for those, but we also run what are our DMU tours, or many people may know them as a pacer unit, which used to run on the main line in recent years. They're open to anybody, including wheelchair access on those,
Hmm.
although we don't have wheelchair bathroom facilities at the moment.
Mm.
The brake vans, because they're such a heritage item, as I say, we've got the height limit for children and an age restriction, and we do unfortunately currently not have a method of carrying wheelchairs on there at
Mm.
the moment. It's something we hope to progress towards in the future, however long that may take with funds and so on, but hopefully one day we'll be able to add that to the list as well.
Yeah. I'm presuming that dogs can't go?
Actually, we have had dogs on before,
Ah.
so generally people can bring dogs along. We like them to understand the time that they're on the tour for, which is usually an hour and a half to 2 hours that they'll
Mhm.
be on a train permanently before a rest stop period, and then we go again because our brake van tours are 4 hours.
Mm.
But yes, we have had dogs on before, which the main thing is as long as they're secured and they can't go escaping, that's all that really matters.
Yeah. Now, as well as the tour on the train itself, you have a museum section too, don't you?
Yes, so we during the tours we stop for a period at the locomotive sheds where we maintain and repair everything, and we have the chance to visit our museum, which is currently just a porter cabin, but it is dedicated to the history of the works and a little bit to ourselves as well in the tours that have been going on. So we've got things like nameplates, but we've also got a model of the blast furnace. and several other items, tools, things that were used around the site, showing people what went on, and photographs showing the same as well.
Yeah. So, what are your plans for the future? Is that something that you plan to expand?
That's my personal hope. So I currently maintain and operate more often the museum side than anything, and I long-term future is to be able to expand it, because we do have now a large backlog of items stored which we
Mm.
have nowhere to display them.
Mm.
So hopefully we can expand, whether it be into another porter cabin, and slowly, hopefully, into a building where we'll be able to fully show off everything.
Yeah. Do you have special events during the year?
We haven't done for many years. We do hope to run one of the railway galas like many other railways operate. The biggest thing, as usual with anything, is funding
Mm.
and time, because there are so few of us currently running the tours and maintaining things. Our main focus at current still is to continue the operations as we are, and keeping the tours going and getting the public round.
Yeah. So, when can people visit? When are you open?
So we're generally open Saturdays. It's not a thing where you can just turn up. It is all
Mm.
booked online through Ticket Source. But that enables us, because we've only got such a small amount of people we can carry at any one time. But the tours go up usually for booking 2 months before the tour occurs. So at the present, the April tours were available to book 2 months ago. May is already open, I believe, as well, and the next one's to be booking, I believe, June or July next. So there's always new tour dates becoming available. All the release dates are listed on Ticket Source, so it's easy for people to see when they're available, when they can get booked onto,
Mm.
and hopefully they come and enjoy a tour with us, going around something that's quite unique.
Yeah. So, how many visitors can you have at once?
So at present, we're restricted from anywhere to 24 to 32 people per tour, and we only run one tour a day because of the amount of time we're out, being the 4 hours. So it is quite exclusive as such at the moment, until we can advance with more vehicles to be able to carry more people once again.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what are facilities like on the site? Are there toilets on the train? Can people get a cup of tea?
So when they're actually out on the brake van tours, there's no toilet on the train, and
Mm.
there's no tea facilities. But that's why we'd, like we were earlier saying, we run for around an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then we pull into our loco shed where we've got toilet facilities. We have a lounge coach, and what we call a lounge coach, I should say, it's a refreshment coach.
Mhm.
So we have tea, coffee, sandwiches, crisps, chocolate, things like that available, and our small shop sells cold drinks and ice creams as well, so that's all available during the shed stop. Then we go out again for a couple of more, hour and a half, 2 hours again, depending on when the time slot's been, and then back to the platform for people to return home. So one side of that, whereas the DMU tour, they're only around 2 hours. We don't do a shed stop, but they do have toilets on board.
Mhm. And can people bring their own refreshments with them if they want to?
People are welcome to bring their own refreshments as well. Yes, many people do, as well as many people purchasing them from the refreshment coach. There's always options.
Yeah. So, tell me about some of the work that goes on behind the scenes.
So there's a huge amount. Luckily, we don't have to look after any of the site itself and the track, but what we have to look after are our own locomotives, our coaching stock, our brake vans as we operate them, the few wagons that we have, as well as things like the museum, um, stocking the shop, the refreshment coach, and then all the safety side as well, because with operating any railway, especially for ourselves as trustees, is a huge undertaking of safety items, for people to make sure they're safe and working correctly, and even more so again being on the steelworks, because there's other hazards and things that we have to consider for those people.
Yeah. What do visitors say after they've been?
It varies. So I think the biggest thing we ever get told is they can't believe they've had the opportunity to do it,
Yeah.
because it's so unusual.
Yeah.
And the size and the scale of the site once they get out there, it's, again, unlike most railways, it's not usually the things of riding in the wagons and the coach and stock they're interested in, it's the site, and they just can't believe what they've managed to experience.
Yeah. I have to say that the couple of times that I've done it, it's completely disorientating. The site is so huge, and you just think, I don't even know where I am anymore.
Yes, we get that quite often, because we travel from, if we like, the main entrance from Brig Road at the Steelworks, which is known as Gate D, and we can end up right around up to Mortal Ash Hill, which is going towards the A15, if I remember correctly. And when you've covered such a vast area, but people can't believe that they've gone through and around the back of the area to get somewhere completely different.
Yeah. Is there wildlife on the site? Because it's quite remote, really, isn't it?
There is lots. I was amazed when I first started as an apprentice and then working with the volunteers as well, just how much there is. So for me, getting to the back area of the site, one of the first stunning things I saw was a deer casually walking around.
Yeah.
But we have all sorts of things included in that as well. So we have the birds of prey that we see, whether it be buzzards, kestrels, sparrowhawks, things like that. We have resident cats on the site
Yeah.
for maintaining rodent populations, which, again, when you're travelling along on a train and you just see a cat sat by the side of the track, completely ignoring what you're doing, as long as it's happy, that's all that matters to it. Yeah. The plants, the fauna out there, seeing the site now, if you like, if you went out today, it looks very drab, it looks very earthy, there's not a lot to see besides a few trees, and then you get to the summer and it's covered in greenery and flowers, and it's amazing just how it changes through the seasons and what can be seen as you're travelling around.
Yeah, yeah. Where do your visitors come from? Are they mostly local people, or do people come, from further afield?
So we've found it can be quite amazing at times. We have people coming locally, we have people coming from all ends of the UK, whether it be down to Cornwall or up to Scotland and across to Wales. But then we also have had visitors. We had a large group last year come from France. We've had people come from Germany, but then even from little closer places like Ireland. We did have a couple of Americans last year come who have been interested in writing a book into the steelworks and
Ah,
around the world. So we really do encompass a whole world view almost of people coming from different areas to see the steelworks.
yeah. How do they find out about you?
Many of them through Facebook and through connections what we've built through other people and other people sharing our posts and things like that. Occasionally through the website as well. So we currently maybe even don't do enough advertising as such and getting out to all sorts of different areas which we could probably use.
Yeah. So when you turn up on one of your volunteering days, is there a typical day? What do you do?
Uh, it can vary. So quite often we'll get signed in, get changed, and we'll be working with if we like, the team leads as such. So we have a person who maintains our steam locomotives, our second for the rolling stock. Another person maintains the diesel locomotives, and they're usually the people that have the head up on what's going on with the different jobs. And if they're not there, they've usually got things down on a notice board for work that needs to continue on. But then we've also got things like maintaining the buildings, the structures, if we like, the coach, the lounge coach as such. And then for myself, it's usually going down, having a clean up around the museum, maybe moving a few items around and slowly beginning to mark everything up and giving it all information, because the museum's now only been there about 2 years and it's been a huge undertaking to first get things out and then let alone label them.
Yeah.
But then it can be for myself and other trustees as such. We can be dealing, like we said before, with safety items or with bookings with customers. So there's all sorts of different jobs that can be done. For the general volunteers, like I say, it's usually maintenance, repairing, and then training. So training to be able to drive the locomotives, shunting the trains around the site, getting that good base knowledge so they can go out on the tours with the public, and hopefully the public can enjoy the tours that they're able to lead them on.
Yeah. Now, a lot of heritage railways offer, experience days where people can drive a loco. Is that something you're able to offer?
It is indeed. So we have 3 sets of driver experiences as such. The mainline passenger pacer unit goes out regularly throughout the year for usually 4 trips in a day with 4 different drivers. We do, on the end of our tours, we have the opportunity for people to drive the diesel locomotive and steam locomotive, again all booked through Ticket Source. And then we also offer the opportunity to do whole day driver experiences for people to come for 8 hours and go around the site. With those, we book them through emails, through Facebook. We get the contacts and set them up so people can come and enjoy a day almost of working as a steel worker,
Yeah.
travelling around the site and seeing all the different areas.
Fantastic. And what kind of costs are we talking about for visitors to come on the normal trips and for the experience days?
So for the normal bookings now, it varies. For the pacer unit, which is the shorter trips, they're aimed usually around £5 per person for the
Hmm.
donation that we take. For the brake vans, they're a little bit more expensive, so they're more in the £30 region,
Hmm.
due to a small amount of number of people being on
Yeah.
there and having to cover such huge overheads.
Yeah.
The driver experience is generally aligned with other railways and what they're doing, and it's all a donation-based system because it's the way of keeping ourselves in funds and keeping the system operational.
Yeah. And would you say that the site is just for rail enthusiasts or for anybody?
I think personally the experience is for anyone. So my main aim when I first joined was to educate. So I've worked for the Steelworks for 20 years, started when I was 16, and I've always been at a marvel when I started, when my granddad first brought me along to see the site and to do my interviews. And I always think that people should experience it and have the knowledge of heavy industry in the UK,
Mm.
and especially an industry now that is very small compared to what it used to be. We're now the only site left in the UK that has an operational pair of blast furnaces, even one blast furnace. It's a unique industry that's been on the decline,
Mm.
and I think people need to understand it, see what's there, and people do. And many people, for us, I find, come more for the steelworks aspect than for the rail tour aspect and for the rail-based system.
Mm.
Um, so it's something I think anyone can come and experience, anyone can come and enjoy, and come and see something completely different to what they've ever seen before.
Yeah. What's been your most memorable moment since working as a volunteer on the railway?
So it's going to sound very strange, this one, but for me, it's actually been seeing the areas of the site that have disappeared.
Mm.
So the most notable one, I think, overall was when I was the plate mill had closed and it was slowly beginning to be demolished. And we'd been doing the rail tours throughout the summer, slowly seeing the decline of the building. And then as we came round to the building, there was the frontage of the building still there, and I understood that it was sort of the last week or 2 weeks of it coming down.
Mm.
And I did a particular piece on the history because of I did a couple of months there as an apprentice, and I worked with many people there over the time. And then after they'd left to come to other areas, and as we rounded the frontage of the building, the rest of the building was gone.
Well,
And seeing such a massive building then completely leveled to the ground,
yeah.
it was just an unreal experience, and it really took me back just how much of things had disappeared.
Yeah.
And then slowly many people could see the heavy section mill disappear from the front of the site that had been closed since the early 2000s but was then disappearing later in the 2020s. And then finally the coke ovens at Dawes Lane, we actually got to experience the demolition of the chimney, blowing it up as such from the bottom,
Mm.
from a locomotive at a safe distance.
Yeah.
And it's that again, it's what's probably most affected me and probably been most impression on me, that again led to wanting to do these tours and getting the public round and showing them that this industry needs to be kept. So it's been a strange one, definitely.
Yeah. So what would you say that you love most about the place?
um, I think it'd be the sights, the sounds, the atmosphere. For working, it's always been the people, and it's the same with the volunteers. The volunteers are so much dedication and interest to putting these tours on for the public and showing people around, and wanting to be able to keep the items maintained and repaired and raising the funds to do so. Um, it's moving seeing people with such enthusiasm for it, and then the visitors being the same when they come round as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got 30 seconds to persuade someone to come to Appleby Frodingham Railway. What are you going to say, Andrew?
Come and see something unique, something special that you can experience the sights, sounds, and smells. Something that you'll never experience anywhere else, really, where you can get to the nitty gritty of seeing the steelworks from a vehicle that's safe to ride on and behind a heritage item, supporting the country and the industry.
works for me. Thank you very much for being my guest, Andrew.
Thank you very much indeed. It's been very enjoyable.
Thanks for listening to Come Here. If you know a heritage attraction that would love to be featured, or you have a suggestion for somewhere you'd like me to cover, I'd love to hear from you. To find my email address and find out more about me, pop to my website at lizdrury.com. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe, rate and review the show. It really helps other people to find it. See you next time, and come and discover somewhere else worth visiting.